Good afternoon, and thanks for inviting me out to Lowell. Marissa gave a great introduction of me. A few things I want to say that I actually didn't incorporate into my speech, but I think are kind of relevant. In terms of my own identity, I'm Indian American, I am heterosexual, I'm cisgender, and I grew up in Iowa. I now live in Melrose and made the trip out to Lowell. So thank you to Hope Anderson for inviting me here today, and to Marissa and all the others from Solidarity Lowell who worked hard to put today's event together. This weekend, 1 year into the current presidential administration, serves an important purpose. It re-energizes us, it shows the world we are still here, and we still have a lot of fight left within us. That said, it exhausts us too. Many of us are existing in the context of having open wounds that have had little chance to heal before the next piercing laceration. This is even more true if we're part of any marginalized group. It's tough to reconcile our intentions to be inclusive with our desire for our own pain and our own individual and collective identities to be recognized. Many important conversations have taken place over the last year. One of these that I believe it is imperative to recognize is the role of gender identity in our feminism. Yesterday, when I got home from the rally and call to action at Cambridge Common, I saw a Facebook post from my friend Eb Effen. I asked for their permission to share the following quote. I know I'm not the only trans person who's feeling particularly invisible today. Sending so much love to my trans family. We are real, we are here, and we are powerful. Please remember, some women have penises, some men have vaginas. Not all people are men or women. You do not know someone's gender based on their appearance. Biological essentialism is inherently anti-feminist. Thank you, Ev, for letting me share this quote today. Whether it's including those whose identity does not fall along a male or female or gay or straight binary, including Black, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, and multiracial people, and their voices and actions in our actions and conversations, considering different perspectives across faiths and traditions. True inclusion will not only require our good intentions, but our continued willingness to be uncomfortable as we redefine our norms and change our questions and approach. What a year it has been. 1 year ago today, I was in downtown Boston for my first day of class with Emerge Massachusetts, a candidate training program for Democratic women interested in running for elected office. And as this audience knows, it was also the day after the presidential inauguration and the day of the Women's March. Millions of people poured into the streets to say we will not be squashed and we will not allow this vulgar man to dictate our values or what our humanity and our country are about. It was an invigorating and cathartic experience after the malaise and despondency that followed the election. Among those I met that day was Lisa Peterson, a fellow Emerge classmate, newly elected just like me. Councillor Peterson, newly elected like in this last couple months, that is, in November. Councillor Peterson reached out to me when she learned this organization was looking for speakers, like today, at this event. And she connected me to this opportunity. That's one of the things I loved most about this experience, my experience with Emerge. We all lift each other up and we support each other. We're strong as individuals and even stronger together. Thank you, Lisa. As I reflected on the past year, I realized this journey didn't just start 1 year ago. I reviewed the long list of things that have happened since 45 declared his candidacy, and meanwhile, also recognized our problems didn't start then either. But just as a reminder, here are a few of the things that have happened since Donald Trump declared himself a candidate on June 26, 2015. The shooting in Charleston happened the next day. 10 days later, marriage equality became the law of the land. The day after that, Bree Newsom took down the Confederate flag at the South Carolina State House. A few weeks later, Sandra Bland was found dead in her jail cell. In December 2015, the shooting in San Bernardino happened, and a few days later, DT called for a Muslim ban. President Obama's last State of the Union address was on January 12, 2016, and 4 days later, a state of emergency was declared in Flint, Michigan. On June 10th, I was at the Pride Parade in Boston, and 2 days later, the Pulse nightclub shooting happened in Orlando. On October 7th, the Access Hollywood videotape was released. Election Day was on November 8th, and Inauguration Day was on January 20th. Within hours of the inauguration, references to the LGBTQIA community were removed from the White House website. 1 year ago, many of us marched. On January 24th, he issued a memorandum to allow the federal government to go forward with the Dakota Access Pipeline. The day after that, he issued an executive order to build a wall. And then 2 days after that, he issued a travel ban for 7 Muslim-majority countries. I can go on, and since then it's been a constant tweet storm. When I first heard about efforts to march again and hold rallies across the country on this weekend, I'll be honest, I was a little worried about crowd size. But then I realized it isn't about that. Hundreds of us have run for office, and thousands of us have supported our campaigns. Many of us have deluged Congress with postcards and filled their voicemail with calls to denounce the latest policies. The forces of hatred are daunting. They have many of us flailing, wanting to fight against this hate and not wanting to let ourselves become divided. With each act of hatred, members of our community are affected on a deeper and more personal level. We must look out for our friends and our neighbors and those who might feel the most affected. Let's look within and recognize and extinguish the seeds of hate within ourselves. Let's take care of each other and let's fight against hate. To conclude, here are 5 things I have learned over the last couple of years. Number 1, symbols matter, whether it's putting up a rainbow flag or taking down a Confederate one. Number 2, words are important. Yes, Black Lives Matter. Yes, LGBTQIA equality and justice are critical. Yes, we must combat Islamophobia. Number 3, reach out. Each of these incidents affect us deeply and may affect our friends and acquaintances even more personally. Check on your friends. Number 4, diversify your circle. If you don't know people with a certain profile, or at least don't know them well enough to combat your stereotypes, reservations, or fears, get to know them. Once you get to know people who are different from you, you find out just how much you have in common. And number 5, take action. Do all of the above. Educate yourself, vote, speak up, stand up to bigotry, spread messages of inclusion and love. I'm not sure if it's going to be okay. It's not okay now, and the path forward seems filled with obstacles. We all need to give ourselves space to take care of ourselves as we care for our communities. We also, from time to time, may find ourselves sheet caking to escape it all. We can give ourselves permission to take short breaks, but then we can continue to show up. We can continue to be there for each other. We can continue to show our kids that fighting for justice, diversifying our circles, and getting to know our neighbors are vital parts of being part of a community. I know we're in this for the long haul, and I'm glad we will continue marching forward together.